Hi, I'm Bybreen Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology. On October the 27th, there is a full moon in Taurus. So it's a full moon that takes place in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. Interestingly, the new moon that took place on October the 13th was in Libra, and that equally was ruled by Venus. So we're in for a very Venusian time of pleasure and love and ease and luxury. And that ties in with the placement of the moon in Taurus, because here the moon is exalted in Taurus, which basically means it's in a very favourable position. So you'll be feeling emotional in a positive way, nurturing, love, and being able to express your emotional side in a very grounded way. And the reason for this is because Taurus is an earth sign. It's a pleasure-seeking sign. Taurus also rules parts of the body, and here we're dealing with the throat, neck and shoulders. And given that it's a time for reaping rewards and being luxurious and pampering, you might want to have a massage, for example, which is very soothing, it's very relaxing and can be quite sensual. In terms of careers, Taurus is involved in areas like real estate, finance, deal making, chef, dietitian or farmer. And so here you're having a sense of having used your great talents, you're about to reap the rewards, which may show themselves in these areas as well as other areas. But because we're dealing with Taurus, these are the types of careers that are associated with Taurus. It could also be a time, because we're dealing with pleasure, that we're looking at the Venus side of things. And so you might want to go to a concert, for example, and listen to your favourite singer or musician, because it's dealing with pleasing your senses in some way. You might derive pleasure, for example, by being in nature and being surrounded by flowers and trees and plants, or you're now reaping the benefit of, you're looking at your beautiful garden, and that really stimulates your senses. What I want to do is to step you through the meaning of this aspect, the Moon, Taurus, Venus, going through the 12 houses of the astrological chart. So, for example, where you've got this aspect in the first house, you might want to have a new image, for example. There could be a change to your physical appearance. You might have your hair cut or your nails done, or have your ear pierced, or have a tattoo. It's time for improving your physical appearance in some way. Where you have the Moon, Taurus, Venus going through the second house, we're dealing with the house of resources and values, for example. And as a result of using your talents, you are receiving a windfall in some way. You might be closing a deal, having raised some finance, and as a result of this, for example, you may actually want to contribute part of your windfall or your success to help other people. So if you're feeling generous, you might want to donate money to a charity, for example. Where you have the Moon, Taurus and Venus going through the third house, you might derive pleasure by being nurtured through spending time with your siblings, for example. You might also gain this same sense of pleasure through writing and speaking and singing, communicating in some way that makes you feel good. Where you have the Moon, Taurus, Venus going through the fourth house, it's a nourishing time that you spend at home with your family, for example, and you could be reflecting on past times, really happy experiences that you've enjoyed. You might be in a beautiful surrounding while you're going through this particular experience. Where you have the Moon, Taurus and Venus going through the fifth house, here you're receiving the benefits of a risk that you took. You might have speculated on the stock market, and as a result of this, you've received some money coming through as a result of this. It's also a great time to immerse yourself in your creative self-expression, because we're dealing with the fifth house here, and you may derive some benefit and joy and good times by spending time with your children, or if you don't have children in your life, young people that may be in your world. Where you're dealing with the Moon, Taurus, Venus going through the sixth house, Here, pleasure is gained through sharing rewards with your colleagues at work, for example. You might be recognized as a team in some way by the industry that you're in. You could be awarded something. Also might be spending time eating delicious food, and it's really nutritious and healthy, so it helps you feel good, but also as a way to build your body. Where you have Moon, Taurus and Venus going through the 7th house, it's a lovely time to have a sensual time with your husband, wife or partner. It could be a day that you actually get engaged. Where you have this aspect going through the 8th house, it's the house of marriage or the house of relationships with others, but also it could show up within the business world. You might sign a contract, having, gone through a series of negotiations, and today's the day that the contract has been completed. Moon, Taurus, Venus going through the 9th house, you might derive pleasure through a cultural experience that involves other people from different cultures, ethnicities, and you might, for example, gain some pleasure through going on a cruise, a luxury cruise, for example, to your favourite destination. So anything that engages your sense of foreignness, and that can show up in a variety of different ways, is something that's going to give you pleasure. Or it could be, a philosophical experience. It could be through religion. You gain an insight, some sense of profundity that makes you feel good. Moon, Taurus and Venus going through the 10th house. Here we're dealing with your sense of your public persona, your work, your profession, your career, and you might be receiving some recognition for your creative talents, for example, or through what you've contributed to the wider world. Also, you might receive a raise or promotion for the work that you're currently undertaking. Moon, Taurus, Venus going through the 11th house is where you receive gifts and support from your friends and groups that you're involved with. In relation to this 11th house, there's another aspect that's taking place, and that's the Moon Trine series. Here again, it's mirroring that sense of the mutual nurturing and support that, because you've given to friends and networks, they're giving back to you. But also, where you've got this aspect of the Moon and Ceres, it also could bring up past experiences and feelings around how you were nurtured, primarily through your mum. And you might have experienced some level of abandonment or not so good mothering, and those feelings could be reawakened. However, because it's a Moon Trine series, you're in a place and you're in a position where you're able to really comfortably nourish yourself, so you don't have this sense of abandonment, or if you did, you found a way to integrate it into your life. And so where you are now, you have this real sense of achievement around gaining your own sense of self-fulfillment. Moving back into the Moon, Taurus, Venus coming into the 12th house, the reward that you might receive here is that you've grown in wisdom and compassion for other people. So you've integrated the experiences of life, and as a result of this, you're a far wiser person, and you're going to use these attributes, for example, through your creative work. And so there's this really deep sense of fulfillment that's gained because you are now a wiser person. So that's it. That's the mini tour through the houses, and I want to complete this episode with the quote from Oscar Wilde. And he said, "I adore pleasures. They are the last refuge of the complex." So under this wonderful, luxurious transit that's taking place of this full moon in Taurus, have a very pleasurable time until I speak to you again. If you found any of this useful, feel free to share it with your network, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any comments, I would love to hear from you. Please put them in the comment box below, and have a fabulous full moon.